last year, I mean, the ACC did well in the NCAA tournament. Clemson, Duke, NC State all made they were, when we got to the Elite Eight, we had 3 ACC teams in it. 37.5% of the college basketball playing teams remaining at that level hailed from the ACC. We could have ended up with 2 teams in the Final Four. Clemson played Alabama tough, and NC State beat Duke. So State went to the Final Four. The year before, Miami went to the Final Four. I think the year before, is that when both Duke and Carolina went to the Final Four? Yeah, right? So 4 Final Four teams in the last 3 years, and we get to this year, and only 2 ACC teams in the ranking? How is that possible? Well, who would be the third team that had to be ranked was my question, and nobody has a real good answer for that. Anyway, I don't feel like there is disrespect yet. I think there will be disrespect if nothing changes, but because I think the ACC was disrespected the last year, maybe the last 2 years. I know Brett Friedlander feels that way, and I guess since I've already started that, let's start with the preseason AP poll. Duke 7, North Carolina 9, nobody else in the top 25. I mean, there were some teams, just outside that got also receiving votes. I just don't think that's disrespect. I just don't know who demanded to be ranked other than the top 2.
Well, we can start with Clemson because other than P.J. Hall, they've got a lot back, and they replaced Joseph Girard with Jaden Zachary from Boston College. I think they deserved some recognition. I think Wake Forest with Hunter Salas back. I mean, tell me a team
and Efton
that's
Reed.
not...
That's the team I think is the third best in the league.
Yeah, tell me a team in the country that returns 3 better, more consequential players than Hunter Salas, Efton Reed, and Cam Hildreth.
Cam Hildreth. Well, let me ask. I'll just ask. I'll answer your question this way. Where did Wake end last season?
I believe in the NIT,
right?
Losing in the second round.
So, doesn't that say something?
Well, then think about it is you could make a case that they should have been in the NCAA tournament, considering what the 10th place team got to the Final Four, and they finished, what, 5th, I believe it was?
Right. You're putting me in this position. I don't want to be in this position. The 10th place team, which was NC State, right, finished 9-11?
Mm-hmm.
Does NC State make the NCAA tournament if Michael O'Connell doesn't heave one in from half court to force overtime against Virginia?
No, but maybe Pittsburgh does. Maybe Wake Forest does because those 2 teams had resumes that are as good as some that got in at the end.
Right. So, but
especially for the Mountain West Conference, which is grossly overrated.
We there are a lot of things that I spent 2 months of the season complaining that we are propping up the Big 12 based on erroneous power rankings and using that to say, well, look at all the quad 1 wins that they've got. Well, yeah, because their normal win is a quad 1. We don't have to get into the math. It was a self-fulfilling. It was a cycle, right?
But here's the thing, Adam. I think that's not going to be a problem in the ACC this year because you're not going to have Louisville dragging everybody down because that's going to be an actual team this year.
Yeah.
Now that they've got a coach who can coach and some players. I think that Notre Dame and Georgia Tech are also going to be significantly better. And so with the bottom of the league being better, the top of the league is going to benefit.
I certainly hope so because I do think that the basketball is more apt to stare at a spreadsheet and look at Ken Palm and Bart Torvik numbers and net ratings and quad 1 and quad 2, whereas football uses the eye test to its detriment, I believe, but they use the eye test.
Especially when it concerns Alabama.
You and I, again, we are aligned here. My whole point is that I just don't think that – I think it's not really – to me, it doesn't make sense to play the disrespect card before anything happens because I don't think the preseason poll matters a lick.
Well, go back to the football poll and look at where Florida State was. So, that's your point.
But I think there is an argument to be made that the football poll does matter because it gives you a starting point with not as many data points. Basketball, we play 35. Even the decent teams are going to play 35 games. So we have a whole bunch of data points. All right, let's get first of all. Who did you vote number one? If you're allowed to tell me without killing me.
In basketball?
Yeah, basketball.
Duke. I mean, they've got the number one overall pick, right? And Cooper Flag. They've got a guy who is 7'2" and is the shot blocker, the rim protector they lacked last year.
Yeah.
They've got a veteran backcourt, and maybe the best ACC transfer coming in. I mean, he was the defensive player of the year, or on the all defensive team from Syracuse, Malik Brown. Yeah. And I just like the makeup of that team. Yeah,
I like a lot. Like the kid they got from Purdue. I like the kid they got from Tulane. There's a lot to like about Duke. It's just so many freshmen are going to play huge roles, and the player of the year in the league might end up being R.J. Davis. And I think North Carolina is pretty good. I think ultimately when I looked at it, I thought Duke at 7, Carolina at 9. I think you can make an argument that Duke is slightly underrated, and you can make an argument that North Carolina might be slightly overrated. But I also haven't gone through the process of comparing schedules, who plays this team twice, who plays home here, away there, because those types of things, when you have a league that has 37 teams in it, it's difficult to find the balance of the schedule in that regard. Let me get to football.
But you know what, though? It doesn't really matter because unlike football, they're going to decide it all on the court.
as opposed to a conference room in where are they in Texas? Are they in
Dallas?
Somewhere
I think,
in Dallas,
Fort Worth, or wherever the airport's located.
All right, to football at the very top. I've been asking people this question. With regards to Clemson, are you buying? Because they haven't beaten anybody really good since they lost to Georgia, but they have been super impressive in laying waste to just about everybody. I thought they did the least they possibly could at Florida State in the win, even though that was a comfortable win. They could have been a lot worse had they played a little bit better. But are you buying the Clemson Tigers?
Well, they kicked 7 field goals, right? They made 5 of them in that game. If they'd have scored 5 touchdowns, it would have been a total laughter.
Right.
But yes, I'm buying them, and I'm buying them for one reason and one reason only. Yes, they haven't played anybody of consequence, but look at the rest of their schedule. They don't play anybody of consequence. And so, they are the class of the ACC right now, especially the way that they're starting to play offensively. And it's not even, the execution. It's not it's the aggressiveness with which they're attacking offensively now. Georgia, I thought they played that game not to lose. And after that, I thought Garrett Riley and Dabo got together and said, we can't do this anymore. And they started throwing the ball downfield. They got a little bit more, aggressive with when they had teams down to just put the foot on their throat and go for it. And you see with the results. So I think that they're the team most likely to run the table. I think Miami is more talented, but they've got the Mario factor. And they also have a factor in which, Cam Ward he's one of the top 2 or 3 Heisman Trophy candidates.
Yeah.
He's going to be in New York, may win the thing. But the problem is he is so confident that sometimes he does things that he doesn't need to do, and as a result, you get down by 25 points. Now, he has the ability to bring them back, but how often can you do that? So
apparently he's done it twice.
He has, but look, in 2017, if you go back, Miami was I believe 10-0, and had gotten away with a couple of close calls against Georgia Tech and Florida State, and it finally came back to bite them. So
where did they lose? Do you remember where they lost?
Yeah, they lost at Pittsburgh, I believe.
Yes. So let me get to that real quick. Pittsburgh,
and then they got beat. They got blown out by Clemson in the ACC championship game, and then lost to Wisconsin. So they went 10-0 and then lost the next 3.
So let me just bring Pitt into the chat, who is undefeated, even though they won their 2 high-profile out-of-conference games, sort of in strange comeback fashion over Cincinnati and West Virginia in the backyard brawl, which came back. You say that Clemson has a soft rest of the schedule. Clemson has to play at Pitt. They also have to play at Virginia Tech, which the Virginia Tech that played at Miami, maybe that was more Miami than it was Virginia Tech. But I think there was a reason we all thought Virginia Tech would be good. I think that Clemson's remaining schedule is more challenging than just a smooth path to 8-0 in the league, and they have 4 more league games left because their last 2 games are non-conference games, Citadel and South Carolina. But the Louisville game I'm not that concerned with, even though Louisville is good. I think Louisville might be the best team left on their schedule, to be honest. But at Virginia Tech and at Pitt in back-to-back games, I think could pose a problem for an offense that sometimes has shown the ability to not score touchdowns.
We are going to find out a lot more about Pitt the week before they play Clemson, because they play SMU, which is also a legit contender because they don't play either Clemson or Miami the rest of the way.
They have and they play Pitt at home.
Yep.
So, So how you may know this because I don't know the exact answer other than head-to-head competition. How does the ACC tiebreaker work? Because it is theoretically feasible that Clemson, Miami, and SMU all end up unbeaten in league play.
So what you do is you take the combined winning percentage of their common opponents.
Oh, okay.
And whoever has the best winning percentage against common opponents, the 2 best will go to the championship game. If they're all tied,
if they're all 8-0, the common opponent record will be something.
Okay. Then you go to league. There's about 4 different levels, and the last one is rock paper scissors. and here's the thing: if it comes down to the ACC making a decision in a conference room, sorry, SMU, welcome to the ACC. You ain't playing.
Right, and it'll be the same people who thought that Jim Phillips was on the bat phone telling the officials, I don't care how you do it, that was not a touchdown on that play against Virginia Tech.
There's about 5 different levels to it, and basically it comes down to a coin flip.
All right, can you see a scenario where we've got 3 teams in the playoff?
No. 2 tops.
So 11-1 SMU doesn't get in the playoff. That'll be interesting.
Well, here's the thing: if SMU is 11-1
and BYU wins the Big 12,
they will win the conference championship because they've already got a loss. So I don't think a 2-loss SMU gets in. If SMU gets in, and Miami,
SMU can go 11-1 and not even play in the ACC championship game.
Well, that's true. Well, then I don't know, Adam. I don't know. That's the answer. And the other thing too is it's the same. Listen,
we don't bring Brett Friedlander on this show to say I don't know.
It's the same committee that made the decision to keep undefeated Florida State out last year. So
yeah, I know.
I would say that if it comes down to a third ACC team and another SEC team, it's a very good. There's no I don't know about it.
It's a very good point. Brett Friedlander, Saturday Down South, ACC columnist. Hopefully next time we talk, we'll talk about resurgent NC State and North Carolina. By the way, as I let you go, there's a lot of pressure on Duke to beat Florida State for the first time, isn't there?
Absolutely, because if they're ever going to have a chance, this is it. Florida State's coming off a bye week, and from everything I've heard, Mike Norvell has kind of gone with a youth movement that he's kind of incorporating young guys. But if you can't beat a team that's being quarterbacked by Brock Glenn, you're never going to beat them. Yes, this is a huge win because if Duke wins, bowl eligible, they're still, theoretically in the ACC hunt, and
sure.
and Manny Diaz can claim victory no matter what happens the rest of the way.
Yeah, Brock Glenn though sounds like a good quarterback. I don't know. I mean, it's not Spencer Rattler good, but Brock Glenn just sounds like the name of a good quarterback, even if he isn't. Brett Friedlander sounds like the name of a dynamite ACC writer. At BFriedACC on Twitter. Saturday Down South. Thanks, man. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, AG.
You got it. Brett Friedlander here in the A. Can't say I don't know. I don't think you're allowed. You can't reach that status, Brett Friedlander status, and say, I don't know.
Right? I just don't know.
Much.